Welcome to Permission to Leap, a podcast exploring the stories of people who have brought their visions to life. Each week, I speak to an inspiring guest to navigate the process they took to take the leap in their own lives, from the day they first committed to the day they landed on the other side. Permission to Leap is the spark that will push you to believe in your dreams again and make them your reality. Today's guest is Sheila Viers. Sheila is a health and lifestyle coach that is passionate about helping women break free from yo-yo dieting and self-sabotage so they can rock their dream body and their dream life. She leads her #RockYourDreamBody tribe with her signature non-diet approach, helping women nourish their way towards their physical goals so they can build confidence, gain energy, and feel amazing in their skin. Sheila's own healthy living journey began over a decade ago when she decided it was time to end her struggle with body image and food for good. After years of yo-yo dieting, over-exercising, and issues ranging from food sensitivities to hormonal problems, she learned how to get out of body jail, lost 35 pounds, and now teaches women how to create this freedom and ease in their own lives through a range of programs from Jumpstart to Full Immersion. Her mission extends far beyond weight loss, and her unique ability to inspire women to step into their confidence and their dream life is catching fire. Sheila regularly writes for the Huffington Post and has been featured in many fitness, health, and business publications, including Shape, Inc. magazine, Yahoo Health, Tiny Buddha, The Rise to the Top, Entrepreneur on Fire, Experience Life magazine, Live Strong, 3 Owns It, and Under 30 CEO. Sheila is also the former CEO and co-founder of Live Well 360, a premium fitness bag company. Welcome to another brilliant episode of Permission to Leap. I, as always, am your host, Bree Seeley, and today joined by an amazing woman that I have the immense privilege of calling a friend. This is Sheila Viers. Hi.
Hello, so excited to be here.
So Sheila is an awesome kick-ass health coach, and she currently runs a tribe of women that she's passionate about helping them rock their dream bodies. And so, I've watched Sheila over the last few years really growing her business and moving into kind of this new phase of business, and just so honored to know her. So she is going to share with us today some things about the leaps that she's taken in her life.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with these leaps of faith, that's for sure.
So I know we talked about a few different leaps that you've taken in the past before we hopped on here. What do you feel like has been like the major impetus behind you being like, all right, it's time to commit?
I think for me, it was, so Abraham Hicks, they talk about how like you get to this point where wild horses couldn't keep you from it. And I think that for me, it's that kind of a thing where it starts out as a desire and then it becomes this thing that you almost, it's like you're obsessed with it. You start thinking about it more and more. And then it's almost like I can't imagine not doing it. And then that's when stuff starts happening, things start coming together where it's like the opportunity presents itself. And then that's when you just kind of have to make that decision like, all right, am I really ready? Yeah. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take that first step.
Awesome. So when you're kind of in that place where you're like, am I ready? What's the defining factor for you saying kind of like yes versus no? Have you ever said no, that like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to take that leap?
I think, yeah, like even in these particular circumstances. So like what we talked about before, my main big leaps in my life were number one, going from the corporate world into entrepreneurship. That was huge. Number two, moving across the country from Michigan to California without really having a plan, just knowing that I was not supposed to be out there, but it just my heart, like it just felt connected to moving and I didn't know why. I just knew that I had to take that first step and just do it and try it out. And then the third was going through a divorce and, giving myself permission to do that thing that on paper is like so sort of frowned upon. And, you get married, you're in it for life. And then you think that, no matter what, you're going to be together, stay together. But ultimately my heart was telling me otherwise. And so I think for me, in the process of that burning desire growing stronger and stronger, there was definitely those times where I was like, I'm not ready, or like I'm too scared. Like, can I do it on my own? I don't know. But the more I just sat with it and the more I allowed myself to dream and to think about possibilities, the more that the desire became stronger than the fear. And I guess maybe it's just like a switch that flips for me. And then I was like, okay, I've got to do this. And so that's kind of how it came together in all three situations.
So then once you kind of committed, what is it that has come next for you in each of those things? Because we commit, but then that's not the actual leap. So what's kind of the middle process between like you deciding like, oh God, I have to do this thing, and then actually it manifesting in the real world?
I think in each case, like I never know the whole, A to Z plan. I think in each case, it was always like, I know the next logical step of what makes sense, like as the first thing that I can do. So with leaving the corporate world, I didn't have a plan. Like this was back in 2008. I hadn't even actually read the 4-Hour Work Week. I read the 4-Hour Work Week after I left my job, but I asked to be included in this layoff. I knew like, word on the street was there was a layoff coming up. And I thought, all right, well, I clearly am not happy. I've sort of climbed up the ladder and now I'm looking around thinking like my ladder is leaning up against the wrong building. What am I doing? And so I went and talked to my vice president. I told her like, hey, can you include me, save somebody else? And she's like, do you realize what you're doing? And I said, yes, I do. I'm crazy. I know. And so I left, and luckily I had sort of that safety net of being included in this layoff. So I had a little bit of time. And for me, the first step was really just tuning into like what feels good, and fitness and health was something that I was interested in. So I kind of just started immersing myself and learning about everything that felt interesting. And that's when sort of the pieces came together from there. And we ended up developing a fitness bag company. I read the 4-Hour Work Week. I was like, oh yeah, produce a product. That seems easy. No, like you're so naive in the beginning that it's almost a good thing because you don't know all the things you're going to come up against. But that was kind of how it came together, just like being inspired and taking inspired action. And then, once you take, I always talk about like it's as if you're stepping on a stepping stone and you take a step to the next stepping stone, then you have a totally different perspective and you see different things and opportunities and you've grown. So it's almost like you don't know what the path is going to look like because all you have prior to that is your experiences from the past. And that's a limited perspective because you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Right. And so it's like you could never really know the whole way there.
Yeah. So I love how you've talked about two very different things in the interview already. One was about your heart and one was about logic. So I know oftentimes we like to like really separate those things and be like, I'm only using my brain to make this decision, or I'm only using my heart to figure out the next steps. How do you use both and like balance those two parts of yourself? Because sometimes they have different answers.
Yes. I think that's a really good point too, because there's so much messaging out there about taking like forced action, about coming up against resistance and pushing through it. And I think for me, it's a slightly different twist where it's like, I know that there are certain things that I will bump up against and feel resistance towards. And those are the things that I will need to move through in order to get to the next level and the next level, because you have to expand and become more of who you truly are and to work through your fears. But I think for me, it was always a matter of tuning into my heart, using meditation, listening to like inspiring audiobooks and things like that to tune into the messaging that's coming from within versus just what everybody else is constantly telling us that we have to do. And then using the logic or the masculine to then look at what my options are and, take that next logical step from an inspired place. So it's like, it's coming from a place of self-discovery and self-love versus from a place of needing to prove something or get somewhere or do something to then measure up, I guess would be for me the difference.
Yeah, I love that. Because I definitely think it is a combination of the both. I had a Reiki session, I think last week, and she was talking to me about my head-heart connection. And as she was doing the session, I could feel this energy moving in like an infinity symbol, like through my brain, kind of going through my neck and down into my heart, crisscrossing at my neck again, and then up through my brain again. And we often forget that the two are interconnected and that they play well together. We usually want to separate them so much. So I love that you use both.
Yeah. Yeah. And to know the difference, because I think that's the thing that most people struggle with. Is they're like, is this my ego? Is this bad? Is this good? Is this resistance? And the more that you can, like you said, like tune into both, it allows you to move forward from an expansive place versus from a what should I do kind of a place.
I love that. So let's talk too a little bit about the unknown, because you just shared with us how you only, move forward to like the next step and the next step. How do you, because humans, we're so human, right? Like, I want to know everything. I want to know all the paths and all the things. How do you kind of rectify that within yourself?
I think it really is just a process of reminding ourselves how important it is, at least for me, to meditate, to do those things that a lot of times we tell ourselves we don't have time for, to get outside and be in nature. Like, I moved to California because the beach, like this environment was what was calling me. And there are so many times where I'll want to just take a walk to the bluffs, and I feel like that feels good, but then there's a part of me that's like, well, I still have this and this and this to do. But I know that if I don't do that first, then none of the other stuff that I do or have on my to-do list really feels as fulfilling or satisfying or even produces the results that I'm looking for if I try to do these things because I think I should, same type of a thing, versus what is really calling to me right now.
Yeah, I love that. The first business coach I had would remind me that the feeling good part is actually the first step. Like, we often think like, oh, well, I have to do all these things and then I'll feel good. But that's actually the first step. And then all the other things fall into place and they unravel, themselves, and you get to see them. And it's definitely counterintuitive to, I feel like, how we're taught.
Yeah. We're constantly getting feedback, like all the time we're getting feedback. I mean, and every one of those leaps that I've taken, I can think back to like 10 things that people said to me that were basically telling me to like shrink or not do that thing that my heart was telling me to do, because from their perspective of their life and their beliefs, or, what they think I should be doing, they didn't want me to do that thing. And I think that like, all of this stuff that we have, like our to-do list and all of the responsibilities that we have, and a lot of the things that we're telling ourselves, like we wake up and we go into that action mode, it's not really coming from a place of inspiration or self-discovery. It's coming from this place of, if I don't do that, then I won't be successful, or people will judge me, or I'm supposed to do this because that person a long time ago said that that's what a successful person does. And we forget that just because somebody says something doesn't mean that that's the right thing for us. Like having that time to tune in and connect with our own inner guidance and, our own desires is what's ultimately going to allow us to know what that next logical step is for us. So it's so important, but it's also very easy to talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah, especially because we can't see it. We're so conditioned to be like, if I see it, it's real. But if I can't see it, then I can talk myself out of it because it doesn't actually exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to know, of the like 3 massive leaps that you feel like you've had, was one scarier than any of the others, or brought up any more fears or hesitations or that inner naysayer voice more than the other 2? And why, do you think?
Well, I would say, so the leaving the corporate world and moving into entrepreneurship was scarier in the process, because up front, I didn't really know what that meant. I was just like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want freedom and flexibility. I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to work for someone else. I want to be able to create something amazing in the world. Sure. And then once I got into it, that's when it's like, you're taking out loans for inventory and you're managing cash flow and you're trying to figure out how to manufacture something overseas and work with someone that you've never met before that's across the world. And so that was scary later on. I would say the one that was the scariest up front was going through a divorce, because that was me going against once again in my life all of the things that like people tell you you should do this. It's funny how I end up always going the opposite direction. And this was one of the things where it wasn't like our relationship was abusive, or it wasn't like a very clear definition of like this is not healthy. It was more so like we honestly had different desires and different dreams, and I knew that we were holding ourselves back, holding each other back, because we were trying to just make it work. And so that was me having to trust myself, even though it was so painful for him, and it was so the whole process, and then we were in business together. And so that was a whole nother layer of it. That was the one that like upfront, trusting myself, that was like on a whole new level. And I just had to have that faith that my heart was guiding me in the right direction. And I didn't know how it was all, I didn't even like, this was the first time I was really independent and like doing it on my own. We moved in together after college. So it was like, this was me really saying like, I can do this on my own. And so there was multiple layers of saying, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I just trust myself.
Awesome. And in that trusting of yourself, and now obviously you've done it so many times, the little parts, the little everyday business things and the bigger grand things, what has been the biggest reward or payoff for placing that trust within yourself and really allowing your inner guidance to be that driving force instead of the external things?
I realized that in that situation, like having a partner and in so many other areas of my life, it was kind of like in the movie Dumbo, where he has the feather and he thinks that that feather is the thing that makes him strong. And after going through it and looking back, I can totally see how I was in the driver's seat all along. Like I was the one who was creating my own reality, and I manifested so many amazing things myself, but I thought it was all of these different things. It was like I had this safety net that I envisioned was like, they're always sort of supporting me. But in reality, it wasn't about having a partner. It wasn't about having a safety net. It was about believing in myself. And I think that going through that process and really showing myself how trusting my intuition really does always guide me in the right direction, and that I always have that support system inside of me, that it was like, I don't need the feather. The feather's great if you have, a relationship or a partner or whatever. They don't need it in order to feel safe.
Beautiful. I love that so much. So I know you have some things like in the works. What is like the next thing for you? What are you leaping into anything right now? I know you're currently like in the middle of a leap, but are there any more leaps coming for you in the near future?
In so many ways, I feel like I'm in this place where I think I'm shedding another layer of belief in myself at even greater levels, and sort of incorporating different messages into my business. Like I'm really moving into the space where I work with women on breaking free from yo-yo dieting, and I work with them on body image, body confidence, and food freedom. But really what my message is everything that I'm talking about right now, is like trusting yourself, guiding yourself from within, and nourishing your way towards whatever goals you're setting for yourself. So it's really like guiding yourself by this inner beacon, or this lighthouse of self-discovery and self-love, and not judging yourself and not worrying about what other people think. And I feel like that's such a thing that's so common right now, especially with social media and everything else. It's like we're always sort of like trying to make sure that we're keeping up, or we're comparing ourselves against other people or other women, and judging ourselves based on what we see in the media, or on, in these very strategic pictures, because everybody's kind of building their brand and so forth online. And I think that we can be so hard on ourselves. And so that's part of my message, is like giving yourself permission to shine in whatever way that looks like for you, and setting your own rules for yourself on what that looks like and what that feels like. And the term dream body, I talk about rocking your dream body and your dream life. It's very arbitrary, because the word dream, like you get to define what that means. It's maybe weight loss, maybe weight gain, maybe, whatever it is. It doesn't have any sort of like definition across the board for every single person. It looks different for each and every one of us. And giving ourselves permission to own that is so freeing, because then it's like you truly are free to do whatever it is that feels good to you right now.
So for anyone that wants to take that leap and start in along, the self-love path and really, owning their desires and stuff like that, what would you say is like, and of course I know it's different for every single person, but like that first stepping stone, like what would you say that could be for a woman that's wanting to make that transition?
I would say awareness, like in every case, and even for myself, like when I started moving more towards this, I used to do all the diets and everything else. And really, I was very hard on myself physically and in my life too, like climbing the corporate ladder and thinking I had to have, this degree and this thing, all of this stuff that I was doing, and I was unhappy, but I just kept doing it. Like the defining moment for me was really this awareness of realizing what I've been doing is clearly not working because I don't feel the way that I want to feel. And so starting to take an inventory of like, what actually feels good, reading the book, The Desire Map, for me was huge because it started to help me to understand how to guide by how it was that I wanted to feel on a daily basis versus having this number in my bank account or having this degree or this title or whatever it was. And so it was very freeing to start understanding the things that I just kind of had been doing like unconsciously, just because everybody else does it, right? You're like, all right, well, this is what we do, right? And it's not fulfilling.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I love you and I love your work. If people wanted to find you, where would they do that?
The best place would be sheilaviers.com. So that's my main website. I do have a free video series that goes into truly a lot of the stuff that we talked about today, like guiding yourself from within, learning how to nourish your way towards your goals. And they can find that at sheilaviers.com/video series.
Awesome. Thank you, my love. This has been great. I love your insights. I love the current leap that you're doing, even though we didn't fully talk about it. I can definitely see some massive shifts in you already, even from just, the last year. So thank you for your insights and your beauty and your wisdom.
Thank you. And I want to honor you as well. Like I know what it takes to put yourself out there and to share this stuff and to really help women to rise at this level. So, I want to celebrate all of your wins this past year as well.
Thank you. So connect with Sheila online at sheilaviers.com. Be sure to check out her video series. And thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you again for joining me for yet another fantastic episode of Permission to Leap. If you are looking to take your next big leap, be sure to check out my book that guides you through the 6 phases of the leap process at http://permissiontoleap.today. My book will support you in moving through your leap with more clarity and ease, because there needs to be more people like you living an inspired life and making a positive difference in the world. Much love today and always. I will catch you on the next episode of Permission to Leap.